Ryan got grumpier as time went on. He spent more time in his room. I didn't notice that sign. I missed it. I thought I checked in on him. I did every day. How you doing? I'm fine. Okay, I guess you're fine. I didn't realize that fine meant I'm not fine.
Is there like a rule of thumb or draw the line?
Well, I can't draw the line for you, right? I can't draw. I wish I could because, look, I'm not a psychologist. I'm not an expert. I'm a guy who lost his kid, who spent the last year and a half trying to figure out why. How do you talk to them? Well, I can tell you what they want and what they don't want. What they don't want is you to burst into their room when they're watching some video on YouTube and say, we need to talk. That's the wrong time to talk to them. That's when they say, I'm fine, leave me alone. But they all have that time when they'll talk to you. Maybe it's driving in the car when you take them to school, when they're walking the dog. I can tell you, though, it's also inconvenient. Because I know all the times that Ryan came up to my office because I worked from home and said, hey, Dad, can we talk? And I said, dude, on a call, 30 minutes, I'll be right there. And how many of you have done that? It was my wife's birthday, so her and I headed down to Mexico on the 20th of March. And I'll always remember this because the night of the 21st, we were having dinner. And our phones went off at the exact same time. It was 11:03, and we each had a text. But it was Ryan, basically saying, I love you, and then he said goodbye. I freaked out. My wife's screaming. I got on the phone, I called my mother-in-law who was looking after the kids. I'm like, find Ryan. I'm yelling at her, and she's running around the house, and she finds him. He took his own life. I'd never felt more helpless in my entire life. All I wanted to do was be there and save him. And I couldn't.
What would you tell people who would tell you it's not your fault?
I'm responsible. And this was my fault. There's things that if I had it done differently, Ryan would still be here. So it was a couple of weeks after Ryan passed, and I decided I had to go into his room. And I wanted to see if there was like something I could find, a letter or a notebook or something. And I go, now, okay, I see his chest of drawers. And I open it up, and it's empty, except for 2 sticky notes. One said, my usernames and passwords. And the other one said, tell my story. And I just kind of stood there. And I looked at it because Ryan didn't just arbitrarily decide one day to take his own life. He planned to take his own life. I think what Ryan meant by tell my story was to tell the story of what he did so that other parents won't have to go through this, so that parents are looking at their kids differently. And I traveled around the Pacific Northwest in California talking to a whole bunch of parents and a whole bunch of kids, and I researched the heck out of all this. The stats are staggering. So for me, I'm going, why?
What is it you think that you would change going back?
I didn't think that mental health issues I thought they happened to everybody else. It was somebody else's kid that was going to die of suicide. I should have checked. I should have sat him down from time to time and said, look, I just want to know how you're doing at a different level. Because you always say you're fine, but yeah, you seem a little grumpy. Like, have you ever, I could have asked him, like, do you ever feel sad? When do you feel sad? Tell me why you feel sad. I was not an emotional guy. You just start the conversation and you start trying. There's no such thing as a human being that doesn't have emotions. I think they call them a sociopath. So every tough guy that he's not going to share his emotions because he says he doesn't have any is lying. You have emotions. You're just not sharing them. So start sharing them. Or you're a sociopath. When I look back at Ryan, I showed up this way. CEO coach, Ironman, black belt, author. If there's a problem, I fix it. My kids never saw me cry. I've failed at 13 businesses. I've almost been bankrupt 3 times. My wife and kids never knew. I protected them. I thought that's the way I should be a dad. Ryan was the class clown. Ryan talked all the time. Ryan came home from dinner, told great stories about how things happened, about his bully, and how he verbally trounced his bully and thought it was funny as heck. He never shared the fact that he had any problems. He had lots of them. Because he thought that that's how he's supposed to show up. And I regret it.
What would you teach fathers to basically help them talk with their kids?
First thing you do is you listen. You listen to how they feel and make sure they know that you care. How are you doing? How are you feeling? What's going on at school? Have you ever felt sad? Have you ever felt mad? And you understand that how they feel is how they feel. You can't fix how they feel. And this is what we as dads do. We fix stuff. How many times has your wife said to you, I don't want you to fix my problem, I just want you to listen to me? That's hard for dads to do because we want to protect our kids. When we go into overprotection mode, then what do they believe when they become 14, 15, 16, 17? They believe there's nothing wrong that's ever going to happen. We create kids that do not have any resilience in their lives. I want to do a little exercise with you. Close your eyes for a second. I want you to think back to when you were 12, 13 years of age. And I want you to put up your hands if you were ever bullied. Put up your hands if you ever felt like you weren't happy with your life. If you ever felt like you weren't as cool as the other kids. Leave your hands up for a second and open your eyes. All right, now put your hands down. Put up your hands if you ever thought that you would go ahead and share those deep, dark, painful moments with your kids. Yeah. Had I been more vulnerable with my own kids to share with them, like, yeah, you know what? I was bullied, and I was bullied. I didn't think I had a lot of friends. I didn't have a lot of friends. I never shared any of that. All right, so what do we do now? Everything's only going to change if we change. The world's only going to change if we decide as parents that we're going to make it change. And we're going to make it change if we all decide to be that person that our kids want to come talk to. If we tell our stories and we start to have real emotional connections with our children, that's when the world starts changing. You can make a difference with your own family. I'm making a difference with the family I have left. I would love it if you all told your story.
I'll tell my story.
Tell my story.